Welcome back to the second half of Revive Your Health Radio with Dr. Brandon Schreiner. This program is pre-recorded.
Welcome back to Revive Your Health Radio. I'm your host and lifestyle expert, Dr. Brandon Schreiner, and this is a show where we work to renew your hope, rebuild your health, and revive your God-given potential through the 5 essentials of health. If you're just tuning in, we're talking all about pinched nerves and finding the cause of those without the use of toxic drugs and surgery. I hear this almost every single week. Someone comes in, someone contacts me online and says, hey, I got a pinched nerve in my neck or my back, and my doctor's got me on all kinds of medication and shots, and hey, what would you do? So we're going through that this week, this weekend. If you're out there, you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, we've got some amazing opportunities for you to get plugged in to find the cause of your health concerns. Before we do that, just a couple weeks ago, we just had our first health transformation dinner of 2023. My wife, Dr. Samantha, she's kind of back in the action of educating and doing some stuff with me. She's just truly amazing. She runs our functional medicine Revive Metabolics program, where we do some testing and things to figure out what's going on under the hood. Gut issues, neurotransmitter issues, why it is that your body is having cancer and digestive system problems, rebuilding the gut. Anyway, we were talking about autoimmune conditions, and this upcoming dinner that we're doing is going to be on March 20th. So if you missed this last one, we're going to be doing one on March 20th, 6:30 p.m. at Little Bear Country Club right here in Lewis Center, Ohio. And this one is going to be all about mental health. I hear this, over the last 3.5 to 4 years, this is doubled or tripled as early as 6-7 years old. Kids are being put on anxiety, depression medication. Kids are just more anxious and depressed, and moms and dads, everybody. We have a massive mental health epidemic in our culture, and so we're going to go through some natural things that we can do to fix these, to find the cause, because a lot of this has to do not necessarily with your brain, but other things in your body that have gone haywire that your brain is kind of adapting to. And so it's going to be on March 20th, 6:30 p.m. All you have to do is just give the office a call. So when you call to make your new patient appointment, just tell our girls, hey, I'd like to register for that health transformation dinner. It's completely for free for you and as many guests as you want to bring. We pay for all the food. We have Damian Buck. He's an amazing world-class meat smoker, awesome organic, free-range food. We never provide food for our guests that are something that we wouldn't eat ourselves. And we're super, super excited about this topic. You have to RSVP by Friday, March 17th to confirm any kind of food restrictions that you may have and who will be accompanying you, so we make sure that we get a seat for you. You can give us a call at 614-781-8808. Can't wait to see you guys on March 20th, 6:30 p.m. at Little Bear Country Club. I talked about this early on, and I've had some patients that have listened to the radio show, and they say, Dr. B, your story is just so impactful and so moving. I've heard it so many times, but for those of you who didn't get the first half of the show, I want to share my story once again because it is impactful, and I love sharing my story, or even me sharing it personally, because it kind of brings me back to why it is that I do what I do. We've been doing this for about 11 years now, and taking care of thousands and thousands of people. And when you lose your why, you lose your way. And so this just kind of anchors me. So this is just as much for me than it is for somebody out there who is struggling. But, I was the person that looked great, felt great. I didn't really have any symptoms of having any health issues. I got a scholarship to wrestle for the Ohio Bobcats back in 2002. And I was just, that was my life. I everything about my life was, wrestling and, becoming an All-American. And I just, that was what I wanted to do. And I worked really hard doing it. And I woke up one morning and I couldn't feel my fingers. So we're getting ready to wrestle. I believe it was Central Michigan or for the MAC championships. I can't remember, but I was fine. I was drilling. I was cutting weight. And then I woke up the next morning and literally the right side of my arm and my fingers, I couldn't move my neck. I was stuck in a position. And if I moved my head to one way or the other, it would actually cause extreme tingling and pain going down my hand. And I did exactly what most of you probably did. Is I went and I got the ibuprofen, I got the muscle relaxers, I went to the athletic training room, I got the heat, the stem, I did some exercises, and I felt better temporarily, but then it just came back. Eventually, I had to go up to Lancaster, Ohio, where they had to do some injections into the front of my neck with about 6-inch needles. They don't even do this anymore. It's too dangerous. They give you Valium And they lay you down on a table and they have you drink a radioactive dye that'll light up your nerves and your carotids and all the stuff that they want to make sure they don't hit because they could kill you or permanently damage you. But they were sticking a needle through the front of my neck to numb the nerves that are being pinched coming out of my neck. And wouldn't you know it, I felt better. They numbed the nerves, treated the symptom, felt better, didn't fix the cause, didn't know it at that point. I go to get my wrestling spot back at 149 pounds, and a kid puts a power half on the back of my neck. I remember like it was yesterday. A power half is where someone just aggressively forces their elbow into the back of your head, shoves your head into the mat, and then just cranks on your arm. And I heard a pop. And right then and there, I knew it was over for me. Like my dreams, my all-American hopes, everything that I had worked so hard for, I felt like I let a lot of people down. My mom, my dad, just slaving and driving me from wrestling practice to wrestling tournament, 6 to 8 grueling hours in a hot, stinky gym. It was over. And I ended up having a titanium plate fused into my neck. So they took my my 3-dimensional spine, they fused my neck together with a one-dimensional plate where they came in through the front and they bolted my spine together. And I felt fine. The tingling went away. And then eventually, like it always does, it came back. I started having debilitating migraines, neck pain, tingling went down the other side of my arm. And I was pretty miserable. I was addicted to Oxycontin. It was a pretty nasty part of my life. And if it wasn't for chiropractic, this one particular chiropractor saw me at a gym. I was working out. I was training athletes and things like that as a strength and conditioning coach. And he said, "Hey, you should come in my office. Let me take an X-ray. I'd love to help you." I was pretty taken off by it. I didn't really understand chiropractic. I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. And so it just wasn't the model that I was interested in, but I gave it a shot because it really, the model that I was interested in or that I was the most comfortable with was a model that hadn't worked yet. And so the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, yet expecting a different result. So technically I was insane. And so I went in and he took an X-ray of my spine. And I talked about this earlier on the show about having the curves in your neck, in your spine. And without curves, your spine will degenerate. Wolff's Law sets in. The disc will herniate and your nerves will be pinched. Well, my neck was -7 degrees, -6 degrees in the opposite direction. So they fused my spine together at -6 degrees in the opposite direction. Surgeons, they don't know how to fix or correct the structure of the spine. They don't know how to do that yet. They go in, they do what they're supposed to do. They're very, very good at it. But the structure of my spine was not fixed. And so the doc just says, "Hey, we've got to do something to fix the structure of the spine so we can take pressure off these nerves, get your body healing at the level at which God created it to heal at." And after 6 months of chiropractic care, I'm off all my medications. All my migraine headaches are gone. I can lift and do things that they said I was never going to do again. And my whole life changed. I quit everything that had to do with medicine. I went down to chiropractic school, Life College in Atlanta, Georgia. I got my doctorate degree in chiropractic, and I met my wife, Dr. Samantha. And ever since 2011, we have been serving thousands and thousands of people, one of the largest natural health care clinics in the country, by the grace of God. I'm not your healer. I feel like God uses me to take interference away from people's lives. So that power that God put in you, that's in every one of you. I don't care whether or not you're, 100 or if you're 10, you still have power that God put there. And our mission is just to remove that interference so that with that healing potential that God has there can heal and restore. So that way you can fulfill whatever it is that God has called you to. And so that's my story. Got an amazing opportunity for you this week to get plugged into the office. We partner with the Driven Foundation, Roy Hall Jr. and Antonio Smith with the Driven Foundation. I want you to hear a little bit more about what the Driven Foundation is all about with my good friend, Roy Hall Jr.
This is former Ohio State and NFL wide receiver and Driven Foundation Executive Director Roy Hall. When I played for The Ohio State University, our head coach, Jim Tressel, always encouraged us to make a difference in the community. Since 2009, the Driven Foundation has distributed more than 1.3 million pounds of free food to Central Ohio families. The Driven Foundation is partnering with Revive Chiropractic to impact families. When you visit Revive Chiropractic for a new appointment, $20 will be donated to the Driven Foundation. Go to staydriven.org for more information on how you can get involved with the Driven Foundation.
So here's how this works. This appointment is normally $170, like if you were just walking in off the street. But we discount the radio show, the new patient appointment, from the radio show, to $69. Okay, so we love the radio show people. You guys come in, you guys are awesome. I love shaking your hand. I love meeting you. But this is what we're going to do because we're partnering with the Driven. $20 of that $69 is actually going to be donated back to the Driven Foundation, so they can use that for food, clothing, leadership opportunities in schools, and most importantly, the gospel of Jesus Christ that they spread throughout the city, giving people hope and health and wholeness. So like I said before, that $69 appointment, it's going to give you all of your diagnostic x-rays, your postural evaluation. We're going to go through your case history. It takes about 30 minutes, and 20 of that is going to be able to go back to the Driven for them to use it. It's very simple. All you have to do is give our office a call, 614-781-8808. Once again, that's 614-781-8808. Leave a message with your name, your contact information, and a reason for calling. And then one of our staff members will be contacting you on Monday to get you scheduled for that life-changing new patient appointment. Make sure you bring in your insurance card to that appointment. We do take all forms of insurance. And once our doctors construct a customized care plan for you, we'll call and ask them for those particular visits, and they'll let us know what they're going to cover, what they're not going to cover. And we're going to go over everything for you before we do anything. We're very black and white up in front. The other thing I want you to know is that we do take that $69 payment over the phone. So, whenever we call you to schedule you for that new patient appointment, please have some type of a payment method ready because that lets us know that you're committed, and then also holds our x-ray room. For some reason, if you do not pay that $69 over the phone, that new patient appointment will not be able to happen because we have people that drive 2.5 hours one way to come see us. So if you do not pay, that does not hold the x-ray unit, and unfortunately, you'll have to go somewhere else because we have people all around the city that come to us driving long distances, and we don't want to take away a life-changing opportunity for them if you don't show up. You can also go to revivechiro.com. That's revivechiro.com. You can make a new patient appointment online. When our staff calls to confirm that appointment, we will take your payment and let us know that you're coming from the radio, even though you scheduled online, because the pricing can be different. Once again, the lines are open. Give us a call, 614-781-8808. I want to start off today. We're talking about some structural stuff. I got some cool stories and, inflammation and how food and exercise play a part in, the structure of your spine, which is why we're a lifestyle clinic. But I want to start off with a story. I got a longtime patient. This gentleman's been with me for many, many years. And this guy came into me after 2 neck surgeries. And he'd heard my story. I actually believe he was referred to me by a gentleman, heard my story about having neck issues. And, this guy, I share it because he's just an amazing person. And he's probably the most diligent, driven individual that I know. Patients that, apply information and do what we ask them to do, they just get better. But there are certain instances where the damage has been done. And I love this story because it just kind of paints a picture for you of like surgery should never be your first option. And surgery never actually fixes the structure of the spine. And if you keep going and going and you don't actually have proactive structural corrective chiropractic care, then eventually you're going to have another surgery. And this was this gentleman. He came in, they had fused his C5, C6, and then his C6, C7. And so pretty much his entire cervical spine has been fused together. He calls me, he can't move his neck. His muscles are constantly tight. His muscles are twitching all the time. He's in chronic pain. He's chewing ibuprofen. And I came in and I said, hey, well, what we're going to do is we're going to take an x-ray of your spine to see kind of where it's sitting. You should have this nice C-shaped curve in your neck that looks like a banana at 45 degrees. Well, his neck was fused together at about 10 degrees. So 90% of the curvature in his neck was gone, but it was fused. And the problem with having a fused spine is that you can't correct that particular part of your spine. And so we have to work on the joints above and the joints below that to make sure we get as much motion and stability there to keep him out of pain. So I guess what I'm saying is that a spine like that that's been, operated on and has been kind of beat on like that, we can still help that person, but don't ever wait and make that, don't ever put yourself in a situation to ever have to go through that in the first place, right? But ever since being under chiropractic care in our office, this gentleman no longer takes any more NSAIDs or ibuprofen. He rarely ever gets sick. He has bad days too, because most of his neck is fused together, but he can actually go through life. He doesn't have to worry about ever having another neck surgery. And he's confident because he's got a plan of attack, something proactive that he knows is actually going to improve structure and therefore improve function. Whereas before, he was like, am I going to have another neck surgery? I don't know what's going on. I don't want any more pills. So if you're out there and you've had neck surgery or you've had a back surgery, we deal with that on a regular basis as well. And it's important that you get regular motion and structural stability above those fusions, just like myself. My neck was fused just like this gentleman's, and if it wasn't for regular chiropractic care on a regular basis, I would still be where I was, back in 2005. So if you're out there and you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, amazing opportunity. Give us a call, 614-781-8808, or go to revivechiro.com. That's revivechiro.com to make that new patient appointment. Just $69. 20 of that's going to go back to the Driven Foundation for food, clothing, leadership, and the gospel of Jesus Christ all around the city. And when you get to be a part of an awesome organization, but you also get an awesome opportunity to get your health back on track. I get this all the time. And even with the gentleman that I was talking about before, he goes like, when did this happen? I kind of woke up in my, mid 30s and I started having neck pain. But when did this happen? And I told him that, well, based on the degeneration that's in your spine, this has been this way for a very, very long time, definitely longer than when you had your first symptom. At the beginning part of the show, I talked about, neurology, and science tells us that, just because you're not in pain, or just because you're in pain now, doesn't mean that the cause of that problem hasn't been that way, or the cause of that problem hasn't been that way for 15 to 20 years before you started getting in pain. You've got a nerve fiber. The last 10% of those nerve fibers are pain fibers, which means that you have to burn through 90% function before you actually hit the last 10% of those pain fibers. And how does that happen? I get this all the time. Like, how did I get here? And I always ask the question, were you in some type of a car accident a long time ago? And it's always, oh yeah, I was in a car accident when I was in my teens, and I had a whiplash, they called it. And I had massive headaches, and they just said, hey, take some ibuprofen, and they put me in a C-collar. And I said, well, that's it. Your neck was shifted out of place, and ever since then, nothing has been done to correct it. And now you've got degeneration, and then those nerve channels, your IVFs, or the holes at which the nerves have to come through, are now being compressed, which is why it is that you have the numbing and tingling. And these structural shifts can also start young. What actually causes that? I have a little boy. He came in the office probably about a month ago, and he was complaining to his parents. He's 10 years old. He's complaining to his parents about neck pain and back pain. And when your 10-year-old comes to you complaining about neck pain and back pain, a lot of parents are just like, oh, it's just growing pains, or he's just being a kid or whatever. Listen to those kind of things, because this little boy finally got to the point where it was like a daily occurrence that he was, in pain. He was even starting to get like some tingling into his fingers as he was sleeping. He had so many different structural things going on that his parents didn't know about. And his pediatrician never said anything about going to a chiropractor, of course. And so when I took x-rays of his spine was completely straight. This little boy's neck he has 100% loss of curvature in his neck, and he's 10 years old. It's supposed to be 45 degrees, looks like a banana. His is completely straight. His low back is in the opposite direction. He's got a negative 20 degree curve in his low back, and it's supposed to be anywhere from 35 to 45 degrees. And when I showed these x-rays to his parents, their mouths dropped. They were like, oh my gosh, like how did this happen? And I said, well, most kids are sitting 55 to 60% of their life. Their heads are down at a 60-degree angle, looking at an iPhone or some type of a computer game. Our world is in a flexed forward bad posture. It's very common to see that. It's not normal, but it's common. It just so happened that this little boy was a C-section birth. So he was pulled out of the birth canal with extreme force. It was an emergency, so it had to happen, but the baby was not checked for irritation when the baby came out. And so that tugging and pulling actually caused some of those structural shifts up in the upper part of the neck, which actually caused this as well. And so like I tell people all the time, that these issues that you're having maybe at 30, 40, 50 years old, and if you're having a pinched nerve in your hand or your back, the cause of those things probably came from years and years before, and then you just finally hit those 10% pain fibers, and you're finally starting to get symptoms. But what do you do whenever you get a symptom in our culture? If you have neck pain, back pain, headaches, pinched nerve, whatever, we are told, go to the doctor, and what happens? The doctor will give you a medication or something to treat the symptom. And if that doesn't work, you go back, you see a specialist, they do a special test, they do whatever, they give you a special medication or a special injection, and then eventually, let's do surgery or something to treat the symptom. Here's my question. If we don't do something to find the cause as to why that symptom exists, am I going to go closer to 100% function and vitality, or am I going to go further away from health? The answer is further away from health. And so it starts young. Like I said before earlier on in the show, I mean, if you have neck pain and you have tingling in your hands and your feet, call the office. We're here to help. But if you're listening and you're that person who's like, I only listen to Dr. B because he's got amazing lifestyle stuff. We do that too. But if you've never had an x-ray of your spine, symptoms are not a good indicator of function. You have no idea what your spine is doing, and therefore how well your spine is communicating, or your nerves are communicating to the rest of your body. And you could literally be a flag football game or a 5K run or bending over and picking up your grandkid away from blowing out a nerve or a disc and therefore having a pinched nerve and low back. So we're here. Give us a call. The lines are open, 614-781-8808 to get your evaluation, your x-rays, so we can find the cause of what's going on. And I want to talk about inflammation, diet, alcohol, lack of exercise. They all play a key role in this. I would tell you that we do a really, really great job with spinal correction and the process that we do in the office. And I would say 80% of people just get better by just going through the chiropractic and the process that we do to correct and stabilize the structure of the spine. But then there's that 20% of people that their diets are full of just crazy toxic food. They don't exercise at all. They're very inflamed. And I will tell you, after having 6 knee surgeries and a neck surgery, and having fallen on my head multiple times, I can tell a huge difference whenever my diet is on or it's off, if I've exercised or have not. Inflammation is a key player in pain. All the research points to the fact that if you're eating a ton of sugar, complex carbohydrates, if you're drinking a ton of alcohol, and you're sedentary, it is not going to help that spine or the nerves or the function of those nerves. Therefore, it's going to create inflammation. And inflammation leads to pain, and inflammation can actually affect that neurological or those pinched nerve types of symptoms. So we've got to start going away from the complex carbohydrates. One of the things that you can do right away is drinking more water, staying away from soda, and other things like that. Water is huge. Hydration. Stop sitting at a desk all day. Get up, move. Every 90 minutes, try and do something physically active. Go to a standing workstation. Start doing more higher fat, lower sugar types of diets. Good things like fresh fruits and vegetables, lean meats, nuts and seeds, things like coconut oil. Stay away from the canola oil and the vegetable oil and all the boxed cookies and crackers and the processed dairy and the grains. A lot of those things can create inflammation and stress. And I will tell you, if you've never taken those things out of your diet, do this for me. Take those out of your diet for 10 days and then add them back in. And I can guarantee you that you're going to feel like crap because you have no idea how toxic your body is until you remove those things from your body. And so I'm going to leave you with this. We've got an amazing opportunity for you to come into the clinic. If you're out there, you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. We partner with the Driven Foundation. If you've got neck pain, back pain, pinched nerves in your neck, into your fingers, pinched nerves into your low back, we've got answers for you. This visit is normally $170, but for the radio show, we discount that to $69. We love you guys. We want to bless you as much as we can. But we also are going to do 20 of that $69 is going to be given back to the Driven Foundation. They're going to use that for food, clothing, leadership, and the gospel of Jesus Christ throughout our city. And so we're really super excited about that. So all you have to do is give our office a call, 614-781-8808. Or you can go to revivechiro.com. That's revivechiro.com to make that new patient appointment. That's going to wrap up this week's show. And on behalf of our staff here at Revive Chiropractic, we pray you have a healthy, happy, blessed day. See you soon.
This has been Revive Your Health Radio with Dr. Brandon Schreiner, wellness expert and sports performance council doctor for Team USA. This show has been sponsored by Revive Chiropractic.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, Salem Media Group, staff, management, or advertisers.
To learn more about Dr. Schreiner, log on to revivechiro.com and revivechiro.life to get more health information and start taking charge of your health.
This is former Ohio State and NFL wide receiver and Driven Foundation Executive Director Roy Hall. When I played for The Ohio State University, our head coach, Jim Tressel, always encouraged us to make a difference in the community. Since 2009, the Driven Foundation has distributed more than 1.3 million pounds of free food to Central Ohio families. The Driven Foundation is partnering with Revive Chiropractic to impact families. When you visit Revive Chiropractic for a new appointment, $20 will be donated to the Driven Foundation. Go to staydriven.org for more information on how you can get involved with the Driven Foundation.